Hi, welcome to this episode of the Distributed Data Show. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Adron.
And we're continuing our series in application development, and we're going to talk about something very near and dear to Adron's heart.
Yep. Go.
And Apache Cassandra.
Combined with Go-Cql.
From DataStax, this is the Distributed Data Show. So let's start this episode with actually correcting something that I said. Something I said that was wrong. I know it's hard to believe, but I said something that was wrong.
Weird.
I know, thank you.
I feel like I'm privy to a historical event.
Okay, great. So I was under the impression that there actually is not a Go driver for DataStax or Cassandra.
Right?
And I am mistaken. They're
You
actually, yeah, I am, yeah. So they're actually, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So there is a driver. It's not a DataStax driver.
Okay.
So not something we're always talking about every day, but there is a driver. It's called Go-Cql or Go-Sql.
Okay.
Go-Cql. It's hard to say that, versus
Go-Cql.
SQL versus CQL.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a driver. It's been around for a couple years.
Okay.
It's pretty solid at this point. Very reliable driver. I've used it a good bit myself. It's out on GitHub, completely open source.
Developed by the community.
Developed by the community.
Okay.
For Apache Cassandra,
Awesome.
which by proxy works with DSE.
So you can use this driver also with DataStax.
Yeah.
So either one. Okay, great. So let's take a little bit of a step back.
Okay.
So let's just talk a little bit about Go, and why are people using it in their applications?
So
That may be a big can of worms, but
yeah, that is a huge can of worms.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people using Go for a lot of different things these days. The primary focus and kind of origin of Go is it's a systems language around doing systems maintenance infrastructure type things.
Okay.
The most immediate things that come to mind that were either written in Go or rewritten from other things into Go, because Go is such a good language for these things, is Kubernetes,
Okay.
Cloud Foundry,
Okay.
Docker, Terraform.
Okay.
So you get
Just
the
a
idea.
few.
There's a lot of things that have been either written or rewritten into Go.
Okay.
Because it's a great solid language for those things. It builds into a native binary for whatever system you need it to run on,
Okay.
whether it's Windows, Linux, FreeBSD, Mac OS, right? All those things. And then it has a lot of very easy constructs around concurrency, using routines, which is kind of like threads, but it helps you do a lot of multiple things concurrently and wait asynchronously for different systems and machines to do things.
Okay. So that sounds like something that people are definitely going to be, they're already utilizing, and they're going to start be utilizing even more, especially as all those technologies just become more and more prevalent in our everyday.
Yeah. At this point, it seems to only be growing. And sometimes I have a little bit of question mark whenever I hear things. Like I heard recently a Go UI framework. This is a systems language for systems infrastructure stuff.
Right.
And hey, if it works, great. But it did surprise me. I didn't expect to hear about user interface programming with Go.
Yeah.
But people are using it for just all sorts of stuff now, from web development to services to the infrastructure, of course, but then also things like that. And I even tried out writing some 3D stuff recently.
Okay.
And it was really fast and really proficient at doing it. So I don't see any reason Go would be declining in usage anytime soon. It's only going to be upwards for quite the foreseeable future.
Okay. So let's get back to Go and Apache Cassandra. So we know, like you said, the Go driver has been around for about 3 years or so.
Yep.
It's pretty stable. The community has contributed a lot to it to make it this really robust driver. But because it is so, new, does it support other versions of Apache Cassandra or just 4.0?
Well, that's a good question that you ask, especially right now, because we are bouncing from the 3. Whatever versions to 4.0 being the latest version. And I'm not actually sure what the support story is for 4.0.
Okay.
I'm assuming that it's going to support it to some degree.
Sure.
But I myself need to get in touch with more of the contributors and say, like, hey, where are we at? Where are we at with this? I don't know. because all of the work that I've been doing with it lately have been against previous versions, because
Okay.
it does support 1.x, 2.x, and 3.x versions.
Okay, so it's backwards compatible.
Yeah, it's backwards compatible. But yeah, the 4.0 is a big question mark.
Okay.
But I'm making assumptions at this point and not worrying too much, but I am going to be reaching out myself to make sure that something is going forward. And if not, then I will be contributing myself.
Awesome. Good. And that's the way to always think about open source, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is if maybe someone else is already working on it, fantastic. If not, why not me,
Yep.
right? So let's talk about a little bit more nitty-gritty about this driver. So I know in some of the other drivers, especially like the Python driver I've used before, does it do any of this automatic detection around, clusters and data centers and kind of all the things that I'm used to in that space?
Pretty much. A lot of the standard stuff, especially around the core system, is there. And I'm not super familiar with every single one of the drivers, but as far as like the Java one, the .NET one, it's pretty much on the level with a lot of that stuff. Some of the features and capabilities are a little different.
Okay.
Issuing the way it issues CQL is slightly different, but you can issue that plain as it is. But the detection of the systems, it will detect your data centers, your various hosts, wherever they are, that type of thing. So it does that standard detection and then determining like how to do failover and things like that. It handles that for you just like most of the other drivers do.
Okay. So anything else about maybe some since we're on this automatic kick, anything with like type detection or any of that?
So that's a really good one. So I'm going to tell you a little short story about personal experience. So I sat down and looked at all the types in Cassandra.
Okay.
And then I sat down and looked at all the types in Go.
Okay.
Made some bad assumptions and decided to write something that would map Cassandra types to the Go types.
Okay.
Then I realized that the driver does it for me.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, yeah, didn't need that code.
Huh.
So I threw it away.
Okay.
Which I'm also happy to throw away code because that means that
You
I
learned
didn't
something.
need it. Something already works.
Exactly.
So yeah, the driver does the mappings for most of the basic types, the collections and UUID types. And for any of the more complex composite types, etc., it uses marshalling, the Go marshalling capabilities to get those mapped across accordingly.
Okay. So that's all automatic.
Yep.
So we've talked about like automatic detection of the cluster. We've talked about automatic type detection. Now let's talk about something that we talk about a lot with, utilizing Apache Cassandra with our drivers, and that's around paging. So is the paging mechanism in the Go-Cql the same as the other drivers?
Oh, I wish I could tell you a lot more about that.
Okay.
I don't know in full detail how the paging works,
Okay.
but I do know that it has some standard paging features, like it'll give you the chunk you want at a time to display or work with however you want to. So there's paging features in it. I don't know if they map in similar feature capabilities to the other drivers out there.
But nevertheless, it's not something you have to do at the application level.
Right. So don't go out and write custom code like I did for the types and then realize, oh, there's paging.
Right. It takes care of it all for you. It's not something you have to do in the application. Okay. So any final words that you have about Golang, Go driver with Apache Cassandra, the open source community? Any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience here?
Yes. I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm going to keep it to a few.
Okay.
One of the things, get involved. If you're using the Go driver, reach out to me, reach out to people in the commit log, however you want to kind of dig into it. I'm starting to get more involved in the driver myself since I write so much Go. And I want to get involved not just to add the new features, but just to figure out who's been working on what and that type of thing. But the community is welcoming. Got a lot of features, a lot of capabilities, a lot of things that we want to work on. Like we'd like to get more testing documentation in there, along with some actual testing of the library itself. There's also different little pieces of docs there around, like we'd love some samples out there. Besides just there's some samples in the driver, like in the repo, and they're great, but never hurts to have a few more, right?
Right. And somewhere outside of the repo, maybe in a nice doc or something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
It'd be great to have not just in the repo, but in a doc, like you said, or if you want to write a blog entry or something like that, that would be super useful because it just, expand on the use case, give people more ideas, give them some options to kind of walk through a happy path and figure out how to implement with it and then run from there. So get involved in
And it
the
sounds like
driver and
it sounds like there's a lot of different ways to contribute to this project. It's not just strict coding. You can also be doing other things around it as well.
Yeah, docs, coding. I mean, the bulk of it is working code.
Sure.
Right. It's pretty solid as is. But yeah, docs. You can get into the code a bit. You could write sample apps or blog entries or whatever to help out the community in general. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get involved. A lot of opportunities there to have impact and work with a cool group of people that's hacking on the driver.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. So keep following us in our application development series. Definitely subscribe so you're always get the latest episode, and we'll see you next time.